Hello, it's Mr. Turek, and today I'm going to show you how to cut out the background of an image. This PDF that accompanies the practice file is a bit outdated, but the basic premise is still true. We're going to take this photo and we're going to cut its background out so it looks like this. And we're going to save it as, instead of a JPEG, we're going to save it as a TIFF, which is going to allow us to place it into the yearbook and have this portion of the image be transparent. So let's start with our image here. Make sure we know where it is, what folder it's in, what it's called. We're going to open Photoshop. We're going to go open, go to that folder, click open. And the first tool we're going to use is the quick selection tool. This is about the third or fourth tool down in your toolbox. If you click on it, you're going to notice that it's a round shape. To make the brush larger or smaller, you can use a couple different things. You can use the hotkeys, the bracket keys, so you can hit the bracket key left to make it smaller or right to make it bigger. You can even adjust that up here in the options bar if you click this drop-down menu. There's little sliders right here to adjust the size and the hardness, which you're not going to have to worry about too much. The way this tool works is there's a little crosshair right here, and that crosshair is what you use to tell the tool that I want to select this color pixel. So when I drag over that color pixel, it automatically selects that color range and that value. So light value colors will get selected as well. If I click and drag over different values, it continues to add to my selection. It stops the selection, which is indicated by these marching ants, when it detects that there's a different value color. And sometimes it can't automatically detect very complex areas, so we're going to fix that later. So just kind of click and drag over most of your image and get as much as you can of just the basic stuff. When you're done, you know you have a basic selection when your marching ants are going around about, I would say 90% of your subject. If there's still parts of it that aren't a part of your selection, you can make your brush smaller and try to add those to your selection, but chances are you're going to accidentally add too much to your selection, or you're just not going to be able to select it at all, and you're going to select some of your background. So one way you can subtract from your selection and push this marching ant down to the edge of the bow here would be to go to your options bar, click on the subtract from selection, and then try to paint that away. And that works for the most part, but for these really tight areas, it's best to just go into the Select and Mask workspace. When you're in the Select and Mask workspace, you're going to see that there's a bunch of different options available to you on the right, and on the left there's a bunch of specialized tools. We're going to use these specialized tools to help refine our selection. Alright, so the first tool in our Select and Mask area is the Quick Selection tool. We were just using that to make our selection, and we could continue to use that tool to add to our selection, but let's switch to the brush tool, which is the best tool for the job. The brush tool is right here. If you click on the brush tool, you're going to notice it looks very similar to the quick selection tool. You can use your bracket keys to make it smaller, and then you're going to want to zoom in on these very difficult areas. So to zoom in, you hit Control plus, and then you can use your space bar to toggle to the hand tool so that you can move around your document. Under your brush size options, you can go up here and you can move these little sliders to make it larger or smaller. This is really handy if you want an exact, size that you know is going to work. But I use the hotkeys. So I use brackets to make it larger or smaller, and then I use the shift bracket to make it harder or softer brush. And I want a brush that's not 100% hard or 100% soft. I want it kind of semi-soft. So I'm going to hit shift down, and that's going to make it 75%. And I'm just going to paint away some of these edges here, and I'm going to switch it to restores original edge here. I'm just going to paint that away. And the best thing about this tool is it gives you the most control. So if I want to paint these small areas in here, I can make my brush real tiny, and I can sort of fill in these areas. If I want to switch to my quick selection tool, I can at any time. And the same principle applies as before. Whoops. It automatically detects edges, and it can select those edges for us. The beauty of the brush tool is that it manually does exactly what we want it to do. So if we want to tell it exactly where to go, all we have to do is click and drag, and it'll go exactly where we want it to go for those tight to reach areas. So go through your document and manually paint these hard to reach areas with your brush tool. Now let's say we're all done making our selection. There's a couple things we can do to check to see what it'll look like later. So under view mode, you can kind of cycle through some basic view modes to see what's going to show up and what won't. So we can switch to onion skin, and that'll show us kind of like the basic crisp edges and the fuzzy edges. We can view it as marching ants and sort of see where that selection edge is. We can go to black and white. And actually this is really helpful because now I can see, whoa, I missed this part. So we're going to go back to overlay here. And I'm going to edit that. All right, the next couple things we can do are edge detection and global refinements. Edge detection is just sort of a smart, like here, we'll switch it to on white. And we're going to increase our opacity to 100% here. We're going to turn on edge detection. Smart radius. Turn that up just a little bit. And you can see instantly it's sort of automatically detecting areas of contrast and sort of getting rid of that contrast for us. Sometimes it's a little bit too aggressive, like down here on the bow. So just be careful with what it is you're doing. And then under global refinements here, we can continue to adjust this if we want. So this is going to mess with how smooth the edges are. So notice when I turn that up, some of these sort of crisp parts of the bow are now fuzzy. Feathering is overall just how crisp that edge is. We'll make it nice and soft if we increase that. So you can see she kind of looks like she's glowing. We don't want that. And then contrast will just increase the basic contrast of our edges, which can be handy if you want a nice clean edge. And then the shift edge is really helpful if you want to cut out just a little bit of that background that you're unable to get rid of. So if I shift the edge inward by a couple of percentage points here, you can see we're beginning to come in the edge here, and we're getting rid of some of that softness. If I shift it outward, kind of adding just a little bit more of that background, and you can sort of start to see the background come in. That can be helpful for situations where you're not able to clean up that last little bit of outline. So we're going to change our view mode to black and white. Keep smart radius sort of low here. Just a little bit of smoothing. All right, I'm happy with it. So let's take a look at what it looks like on white again. All right, let's say we're happy with it. We're going to output this to a new layer with a layer mask. And we're going to click OK. What that's going to do is that's going to show us what it would look like as just with just a transparent background. So now we can zoom in Control plus, and we can just sort of look at our edges here. And it looks okay. It's not great. Let's say we wanted to fix some of these halos again. It'd be pretty easy to go down to the layer mask, click on it, and then go to select and mask. And it'll open the select and mask workspace back up again. And we can continue to tweak and edit our mask. So I can use my quick select here, and I could add this edge back in. I could even add some of these stray hairs over here by using the Refine Edge brush tool. This is a helpful tool for edges where there's a complex relationship between the background and the foreground. When you're happy with it, you can simply change your output to layer mask, click OK, and it should output to the same layer mask we were using before. Alright, when you're all happy with the image, I would recommend you save it two different ways. I would recommend you save it first as a PSD file. So go to File, Save As, give it a name, After, and then Photoshop or PSD file should be the default Save As type. The reason you want to do this is because let's say it just doesn't look good on the spread or wherever you're using this image. You now have a Photoshop file you can go back into and re-edit that layer mask to make it a little bit better. When you actually want to include it on the spread, you're going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to switch the format to TIFF, which is the bottom option, and you're going to click Save. And then this dialog box is going to open up. And you're going to want to make sure you check the Save Transparency box. This dialog warning is going to pop up, and you're going to click Yes and Don't Show Again, because the program we're going to use does use transparency information. And you're just going to click OK. Click OK. And that's going to ensure that when you place that TIFF file in the spread, you can see the background. Like let's say if there's words or something behind this image, you can see them through this hole. It doesn't have to be placed as a rectangular image in the spread.